EU lobby group says law forcing developers to support online games would make them too expensive. Stop Killing Games urges lawmakers to force publishers to provide online alternative. All right.
Can I retitle this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Company executives pay lobbyists to fight on their behalf.
Yeah. If you look at the lobby, all the people who are on the board directors, it's all like, this person works for Ubisoft, this person works for EA, this is the guy who helps run Epic, this is the guy who does this guy who does that. Like, I don't think CD Projekt Red was included at all. And I heard something that Larian wasn't included at all in this. I have no clue about that. They may be. I have not had the time to look that up specifically. So please take that with the biggest grain of salt. You can go online and find their board of directors. I'll also take a bit of a look at it when I get a chance. This is bad. This is bad. This is getting swampy. Yeah, dude, it's getting swampy.
Swampy.
It's getting swamp ass here. That's what we're getting.
Yeah, it's really gross, especially with this veil of like, we're on your side kind of attitude that they go at it with their response. But we'll get into it here.
Yeah. So it goes on a bit that I want to get to where. Yes, here we go. Right here, we're gonna read their response. I feel like I think everyone kind of understands what Stop Killing Games' position on it. Let's hear what the lobbyists have to say. We love lobbyists. That's right. Especially if you give me bribe money. Anyways, we appreciate this is from Video Games Europe. That's the name of the lobby, by the way. We appreciate the passion of our community. However, the decision to discontinue online services is multifaceted, never taken lightly, and must be an option for companies when an online experience is no longer commercially viable. Reads a statement from Video Game Europe. We understand that it can be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that players are given a fair notice of the prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws.
We do warn you ahead that we're going to kill your game.
I'm gonna press doubt on that because some of the times when they do that, it's legally sketchy of if they actually did provide sufficient time. That's one place where I think we can all agree a lot of devs really skirt the law of what they're supposed to provide as time in advance and what they actually do. You're not getting, and not everything's like Anthem where you're getting like 6 months. And by the way, it shouldn't be 6 months. Rule of thumb, it should probably be like a year.
Yeah, around
I think a year is fine.
Like working with their fiscal year. Understanding that at a certain point it's going to cut off and this will be at this quarter, it'll stop. That's work.
Yeah, I think that works out well, and it gives sufficient time for the devs, and so that's excluding from the fact that I don't want them shutting down game servers, or at least give me an option to play the games. That would be cool. You can shut down the servers all you fucking want. Allow me to play some of these games, But anyways, it continues. Private servers are not always a viable alternative option for players. The protections we put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist and would leave rights holders liable. Yes.
Oh, right, because all these AAA companies use amazing protection programs. Oh, yeah, their anti-cheat software is top-notch, man. You cannot break through them.
You know what though? If it's like, what about like, here's a perfect example: Call of Duty, right? So Call of Duty is not safe to play, right? I think if we learned anything this week is don't play Call of Duty unless you don't want to have a bank account, a social security number, or a PC anymore. You just want to get rid of all three of those things. Go play old CODs on your PC, but there have been attempts to make mods that have those security features with it, right? Adding security features, patching those issues.
There was a full dedicated thing until they banned it M2, right? They tried to
H2M,
right? The actual full-on servers, and so there is a way to do this stuff, right? If you're telling me fucking little Jimmy in his mom's basement did it just because he had a little bit of passion for a game that he liked, we can set something up. Even if it doesn't end up being the studio and ends up being just some dedicated fans and stuff like that, right? It can happen, dude. It's
and
just
you know what you
stupid
do?
That it can't.
You put up a warning. Not even in you put something in the EULA, right? Because you're going to have the EULA. You got to put something there basically absolving you of legal. Like, if a game is like here's the thing that's not fair to devs, right? The game's 20 years old. If there's a new way to break that game and get into information that they didn't know about, how can they now be held liable for that? I don't think that's fair. But after a certain date, a cutoff, we're not legally responsible for anything that happens, okay? You play this game, it fucks up, this is on you. You get to play this game. We're not providing servers. We're not providing anything like that. We're going to give you guys the opportunity to do that. But again, use at your own risk and have warnings, right? Have a warning when somebody boots up the game each time. That's like a patch. That's like a 2-second patch. You throw that in there, and it's a warning that they have to skip each time. I think that's a way of going through it. You add that when you're getting ready to wind down the game, that like, hey, we have no control over what people are doing at this point. And I think that's one way of alleviating it as well.
There are a lot of things we can do.
I think there are a couple options. I don't think it's this whole thing of like, guys, we can't do anything. I do think there are options here that are just not being looked at by games industry. I think they're really trying to drag their feet.
They don't want to.
I'll be honest, the best thing No Killing Games did was getting people to actually look at it. You may not agree with what No Killing Games is down, word by word, but you got to at least be happy it's in the discussion now. You know what I mean? I think, honestly, that's the best thing No Killing Games actually has done. Because before, there was just nothing happening, no talks, no nothing, and it was just, I guess everything's just shit. You know what I mean? At least something now. Like, if No Killing Games ends up fucking something up, guess what? Because of No Killing Games, we can now fight that and change that because there's more eyes on it. You know what I mean? That's the thing that No Killing Games has provided us, is eyes on it and people willing to actually do stuff now. Whereas before, it was just, okay, game's shit, move on. Okay, game's gone. I guess I'll never play Modern Warfare 2 again. Whatever, right? They shut down, whatever. You know what I mean? Whereas now, there's an actual discussion to say fuck you to these companies.
And further your point, just what we saw yesterday with people digging deeper into the EULAs, Ubisoft, Rockstar, all of them have this like crazy destruction of product fucking end user license agreement thrown in there. And we're fucking finally waking up to that stuff. That's great.
Yeah. There's a real problem with I think a lot of it comes down to maybe even this. I don't know. Could be crazy. I feel like because video games are weird, where they are considered technology, but also considered an art form, that there is problems with that you don't get with books, right? I think honestly, you treat video games a bit like books. Nobody's fucking worried about books. Like, you treat it like books. That's a good example. Or movies, where it's like you have a license. You buying a copy of the book, you own that copy. You do not own the rights. That's how it is that with video games. But then there's all this other bullshit that's thrown in on top, and there's just a lot of problems with how things are being operated right now. That's why Stop Killing Games is gaining traction. If the games industry wants to actually kill this, nip this in the bud, find a way that works. Guess what? You guys know the best way to make any of this stuff work. All right. If you even just, I don't know, take like 20 minutes off of laying everyone off and maybe like try to find a little way of making this work. But instead, I honestly, game devs are more obsessed with, or companies at least, are more obsessed with finding ways to get AI to outsource labor. They're way more focused on that than like this. And it's like, if you took like a 10th of the effort you're putting into AI, not even a 10th, you put it into this, you're going to get so much fucking goodwill. Everyone's going to be like, man, this company's great. Look at Bethesda, man. People still suck Bethesda's dick. And it's because of the goodwill that they built up over years. And yeah, it's kind of eroded away a little bit. There was stuff with like the Steam mods, which wasn't great. There was just the fact they were putting out games that were kind of mediocre. That doesn't help either. But there's still people who are like, man, Bethesda's my favorite game dev. And they'll still say that because they built up such a great will with people. Look at Larian Studios. They're doing that. Saber. Dude, I'm going to be honest. Their next game is a day one for me. Why? Because they're building goodwill. They're creating good games, and they're doing things that just encourages people to enjoy and play those games. I really don't see the logic. It's short-term business. It makes sense. Long-term, I don't think it does at all, to discourage people from using your products. People are buying it because they like what you did. You should be happy about that. You should gloat. You should, if you have an old game that's doing really well, you should fucking gloat about it.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
and to top it off with what's being said from the lobbyists, that whole note, it's kind of running part and parcel with what Pirate Software has been saying for the last year since the start of it. Nothing really new in the argument or any further elaboration on what makes this a detriment to them, other than the same old fucking notes that we've seen like since we've been seeing this. So what is their real argument here? Are they just going to be saying this and wait until friggin' is there some fucking political bullshit going to go on with this to stop it? Probably, but we're not going to see it until it's too late if we're not vigilant enough. I'd say, I think there's a certain point where Stop Killing Games may need like more of a financial backing for legally for the lawyer work and such. Hopefully that
I don't think it will, because it's not really an organization, right? It's basically an overglorified petition.
Yeah.
So you don't have to you don't have to accept donations. Like, anyone could have set up Stop Killing Games. You just have to be able to put a little bit of elbow grease into it. Yeah. So there's no real reason for financial stuff. I don't like the idea of it going down that route, and I think it could get very sketchy very quick. But
with the way it is at the moment, it worries me that it's just going to get slapped down, nothing at all, and we just got to basically have our hands in our pockets because the big government says no.
I don't know. It really depends on. I think the best way to do it is you can get this to be kind of bipartisan, right? Okay, left wing, they want consumer rights. Right wing, they want property rights. You can make those two different arguments and still not contradict each other. Consumer rights, property rights. You can make that argument and get something passed. Now, what's in that bill? That is where a lot of people are worried about it, and I understand their concerns.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about it. It really depends on who's wording it. And even if you get someone who's competent, who words it well, you never know what's going to be changed. I do think the one benefit that this has that other bills and propositions and stuff that are different don't have is it's entertainment focused. This is really one of those things where it's like, it's not a priority. So you're not going to really put that much filler in this shit, to be honest. Yeah. And the bureaucracy doesn't want to really deal with this, to be honest. The people who are the bureaucrats who are going to have to deal with this, like the equivalent of the FTC and like the Consumer Commission in the EU, I don't really think they want to add this to their they just had to fucking deal with Apple bitching all over the place. They don't really want this. But if it gets forced through, they're going to have to work on this and do this. And I think also, once it goes through, a lot of companies are going to fall right in line. Do we have anything else we want to say on Stop Killing Games before we move on? Big gamers?
I guess maybe scared of the lobbyist lawfare outmaneuvering the initiative.